Talk about Chapter 9. Chapter 9 is all about liabilities. Liability is nothing more than the probable future payment of assets or services that you're obligated to give to someone else. Typically, this happens for current liabilities. These are due within one accounting period or sooner, which usually means 1 year or less. These things usually come from if you received goods or services before you paid. In other words, someone did the work in advance, you didn't pay them till the end, or if you got paid in advance for work you haven't done yet. Another way of doing it would be if you received uh, service, for instance, utilities, and then you pay in arrears, as they say, then if you were to get that benefit first, then you would actually have a liability because you still owe them the money. In other words, you're liable for the money. So that makes sense to most of us. All right. Current liabilities. If you had sales tax payable, notice that if you bought $100 at the Roseville Galleria Mall, bought $100 worth of stuff, you actually have to pay $107.25 because of 7.25% sales tax. The company is actually liable for making sure that money gets to the government. Okay, so sales revenue, they can only count $100. Sales tax payable, they'll count $7.25 of that, but they collect it from you. They're actually the collecting agency, and they have to give $7.25 back to the state. So it looks like they took in $107.25, really cost you $100. Oh, plus the $7.25, that money goes straight to the state. Okay. Excuse me. Unearned revenue is where a customer pays company in advance. Okay. In other words, contractor, or you paid a contractor $1,000 in advance, he hasn't done the work yet. He has to claim that as unearned revenue. This is a liability, even though it sounds like a revenue account, because the word here, it's unearned revenue is what that is. When somebody paid you in advance for something you haven't given them yet, whether it was goods or services. Short-term notes payable. These often replace an account payable if you couldn't pay it off in time. Very much like accounts receivable, if they could not make the debt good for you, then you would convert that into a note receivable. Okay, so on January 1st, suppose we had an account payable of $1,000. They couldn't pay it off, so we turned it into a note payable. So AP is account payable, NP is note payable. All right, we issued a loan on that day, or we converted it from an account payable to a note payable. Accounts payable typically are going to be paid within 30 to 60 days. A note payable is usually a longer generation of time, and it guarantees interest payments. It guarantees some sort of interest. Even 90 days, that's not that long. That's 3 months. It goes by in a flash. But if you were to say we issued a $1,000 90-day 6% note, we've got to figure out what are the dollar amounts that go with that, and what's it mean. Okay, so here we go. On April 1st, that's 90 days later. Excuse me, doing this late at night here. 90 days, that's 3 months. It's a 6% note. Well, 1% would be $10, so 6% must be $60. So we pay off, or the borrower pays off the entire note payable. They pay us an interest expense. Oh, why is it only 15? Something wrong with our math? We said 1% was $10, so 6% should have been 60. What happens here is that's an annual interest rate. So what I just did in my head there was the total interest for a whole year. Well, this has been 1/4. 90 days is 1/4 or 1/4 of 360. So we have to take that number and divide it by 4. The easiest way to calculate interest is principal times interest times time. So 1,000 days times 0.06 for the 6% note times 90 days divided by 360. Any way you slice it, it's going to come out 1/4. Okay, so anyway, the math here is right. It's going to be $60 of interest for a whole year. This is only 1/4 of a year, or 1/4. That's why it goes January, February, March. On April 1st, a new quarter starts. There you go. Okay, so debits have to equal credits, so this plus this equals 1,015. And so even though this person got the benefit of $1,000, they still have to pay back 1,015. It does guarantee that it pays interest. So there are some notes about current liabilities. I think we'll get into warranties here too. Warranty liabilities, where companies got to estimate the cost of things that go wrong, or things that they'll stand behind the product on, but they don't expect. These things have to be recognized in the period in which the product is sold. For instance, let's say Sears sold a whole bunch of lawnmowers. They weren't good sales. They were faulty. They were going to come back. They were going to be returned, but they didn't return them until after 3 months. Okay, you hope they would, but anyway, if you had a warranty like that, what happens is they have to take a cushion against the warranty. All right, here's an example. Suppose we average about 4% warranty costs on a $30,000 car. Well, nobody knows exactly how many warranties you're going to have. They might have a recall, but you have to estimate it. If we say 4%, well, take away 2 zeros here. 1% is 300, so 4% is 4 times that. That'd be 1,200. There we go. So warranty expense is 1,200. Warranty payable is 1,200. What I've done here is I've shifted the anticipated cost of warranties to the current expense period so that that cost, in accordance with matching principle, matches the $30,000 car. Okay, in other words, I bought the car now, then the warranty costs should be gathered right now. So here you go, warranty expense 1,200, warranty payable. Now, suppose this guy comes in and wants the car fixed. What does it look like? Okay, first of all, we write down the payable. Notice that this is an estimate for all the cars that would need to be fixed, or all the different warranty repairs that need to be fixed, not just one guy, all of them. Now down here, this is just one guy. He brought his in, got it fixed, cost $200. Where does the money come from? Well, it comes out of parts inventory. Okay, it does not come out of a situation where, anyway, that's how that works. All right, we'll get into this next chapter next.